Sometimes I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I started my filmmaking journey middle of last year, and the first thing I realized was that people make this look a lot easier than it actually is. I was able to make some projects that I am very fond of and I do appreciate, and looking back at them, I know what I would do differently, but I am also able to say I did a few things right. In 2024, there was a lot for me to still learn, and I think that if I take that information into 2025 and just kind of do this to it, it will probably go a lot easier. There are 3 things that I want to take into 2025. Firstly, I would like to really get comfortable with the idea that things are not going to be perfect. Something I learned about perfectionism is that it doesn't have to take over your life. It doesn't have to take over your habits, and it doesn't have to impede you from doing the things that you really want to do. I remember in high school in art class, I rarely finished projects because I painted over them at least 4 times. And it drove my art teacher and everyone that knew me kind of crazy. In high school, when I would take pictures, when I first started photography, I would leave those pictures in Lightroom and say, I'll get to them later. I don't love them now. Years later, I finally edited them, and it was something I was happy with. So this idea of perfectionism that I've kind of been dealing with in my creative journeys has always been something to really slow me down. And I decided that in 2025, I'm not going to let it slow me down. I think there's a lot we can do to make our journeys a little bit easier, and that's just to take small steps. Progression is better than sitting down and letting your camera collect dust, or for my non-filmmakers out there, it is better than letting that instrument collect dust. I think something that we could all leave behind in 2024 and focus more on 2025 is just doing the dang thing, making sure that the work gets done, even if it is not perfect. Something else I want to remember for 2025 is don't be afraid to try new things, and don't get too comfortable in what it is you're doing. By you, I mean me, of course, but I guess this goes for everyone. I mean, if you're so concerned with what people think, then I think that really restricts you in finding your own creative freedoms and finding who you are as a filmmaker, and not just as a filmmaker, but of course, just who you are as a person. What I do plan on pursuing is documentary filmmaking. That is where my passions are right now, but I don't think that means that I can't be a wedding filmmaker and try that, or try narrative, or try spec work. What I do want to do is, make as much of this as I can, without being incredibly full-time, because I do have an actual job, but I do want this to eventually take off in a way that will allow me to have more freedom in my creativity. And lastly, what I want to focus on in 2025 is making beautiful, real documentaries, telling stories that matter. I had the absolute pleasure to do a short documentary last year on someone that I really had a good time connecting with, and that was before I even took a camera in the place. And that's what I really want to focus on, is telling stories that matter, telling stories that I think are important to be told and that deserve to be told. With there being a lot of turmoil in the world nowadays, I think telling stories that bring people hope and happiness is crucial. And if I can play a part in that, that would mean the world to me. Overall, that is my goal for 2025. These 3 things that I've decided to make more of a focus than others, especially this last one, is something I really hope to carry in this year and really expand my craft to do these people, these stories, and anyone who supports me proud. So thank you so much if you've made it this far. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you, along with everyone that you love, have a very great year full of health, full of hope, and just full of happiness and joy. Thanks so much.